All right, so since I went all over the place with that other video, in this video I'm basically gonna just get to the point on the sun does not cause skin cancer. See, when you're eating things like grapes, right? When you're eating things like avocados, coconuts, these are natural oils, right? And when these oils come out on your skin, that's something that's going to help you glow. Why do you think people put sun tanning oil or sun tanning lotions on their skin? It's to allow the skin to tan or burn a little bit, right? But when you're doing it naturally with something that you actually eat, now you're not only just going to tan and increase your glow, but you're also going to increase your vibration and frequency. Because most of the time when you're putting these chemicals on your skin all in the interest to get a tan, you're not really raising your frequency. You are going to get a tan, but you're even blocking the D3 that's supposed to be produced on the skin, because those are things that don't belong. They actually end up clogging your pores. You actually want to sweat because what you're sweating and you're using it as waste is actually reusable now. The same way when I just mentioned in my previous video that if you take a shit, you can actually use that as compost if you're on an appropriate diet. And the reason why, for example, my dog is on a raw diet. He eats raw turkey necks, raw turkey legs, kidneys, gizzard. He eats all kind of organs, but he also eats fruits and greens. Okay, so he's basically everything raw. But when you have to see when he takes a shit, it looks like first of all, he eats a big amount of food, and when he shits, it's like pretty much like this. It looks like a little piece of chalk. Why is that? He's actually absorbing the food, but then what he's pooping out, okay, is actually, it looks like chalk, and then within 10 minutes you step on it and it turns into powder. You know, that's the bone meal that you buy in Lowe's and Walmart for fertilizer for your plants. That's what that is, blood meal and bone meal. So that's actually compost for my garden. I lived in New York. I've stepped on some dog shit, and I'm gonna tell you right now, it smeared all over my shoe, and it smells like fucking hell. And then there's dogs and cats that are getting these human diseases. What cats, wild cats or wild dogs or wolves or anything do you see in nature with diabetes or cancer? None of them. They don't even have anything called arthritis. Why do these animals have all these fucking human diseases? And you know why they have all these human diseases? They have all these human diseases because they're eating human food. The fucking table scraps that they're not supposed to be eating. So now, there's a lady I know that's paying $2,000 for insulin shots for her cats. Meanwhile, this was a cat that she found when it was a baby in the street. So, but she got it for free, but then now she's paying a $2,000 bill for insulin shots. You see what I'm saying? So it ends up costing you more money, but making somebody else richer. And in the process, a whole lot of distraction. Right? Because that cat is taking a lot of the attention now from things that you're supposed to be doing. You're really not supposed to be doing anything. And that'll be another topic, because I feel like people feel like they always have to do something, but you don't have to do anything. But here's the thing though. And that's a form of hell, in my opinion, when you feel like you have to do something and it's like this is an everyday thing. It's like a cycle. Like it's weird. It's just a bad situation. But anyway, getting back to the sun, okay? A lot of people wear sunglasses. This tricks the body into thinking that it's nighttime. So you're not harmonizing or priming your body to actually get your body to basically prep up for producing the D3 hormone on the skin in harmony with the sun. And why is this important? It's just like a tree. When you have the sunlight hitting the tree, right, it sends down all the energy and nutrients to the root system underneath, because there's a mycelium network intertwined in there. Mycelium is actually the root system of a mushroom, which you already know that humans use mushrooms for altered states of consciousness, and mushrooms have so many like different benefits. But aside from that, it's the root system of a mushroom. The mushroom is the flowering part. But this is a fungal network, and this is actually feeding the tree from underneath. But it cannot survive above ground, so it needs the tree to bring that down. Because you see, the mushrooms actually flower when it's moist, when it's cooler. But the moment the sunlight hits, they shrivel up and they just go back down to the ground. But that death is actually nutrients for the plant or for the tree. You get what I'm saying? So the same way, when you get the sunlight on the skin, this hormone, all right, it's a steroid, all right, which is actually very powerful for even calcium utilization, because when you have a lot of inflammation in the body, or you have, let's say, arthritis or any one of those bone density issues, is because your body's too acidic. So it utilizes calcium as a buffering, as a carbonate, a buffering agent to actually neutralize all the acids in the body. Your body wants to maintain that neutral base dominant state. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because your body is earth. Earth is neutral, natural. You ground energies, all kinds of energy here. However, we don't just want to get lost and stuck into saying alkaline, 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 because the acidic, or what we would categorize as acidic, which is hot, has its properties. The sunlight is basically hot, or so we're told it's hot. But here's the thing though, no different than when you have inflammation on the let's say if you injure yourself and you, like when I almost broke my wrist, right? My wrist swelled up and it was hot. Why? All the blood rushed in there. It increases the circulation to heal the area faster, right? So when you have a lemon like this, it's acidic in your mouth, but it's alkalizing in the body. So when you go outside, that acid, heat, what we would call, is harmonizing with something that you put in there and is coming out on the skin, alkalizing, right? But when you eat meats and all that, that doesn't really feel too acidic, but it's very acidic in the body. Very, very acidic. Right? That's the nitrogen side of chemistry. And then you have the carbon side of chemistry, which is basically the life side of chemistry. Right? But nitrogen side of chemistry, nitrogen has its uses. For example, when a tree or a plant is a seedling, you depend on nitrogen to help the plant grow. See, that's why when you have like something called amino acids, right? These are the building blocks of protein. They're building blocks. But a lot of people are trying to use these building blocks having a weak foundation. You have to make sure your foundation is strong. That's why it is important. And then not only that, but when you are taking these building blocks, it's taking the right building blocks. A lot of the times, these people who look all swolled up from the gym and whatnot, I mean, think about this. Inflammation, okay? Acidity, inflammation, swells. A lot of the times when you go to the gym, you create something called lactic acid. And this actually creates soreness, and this is why you swell up. You really don't lose muscle tissue like people tell you. Like people say, I lost like 10 or 15 pounds of muscle. You actually lost like 10 to 15 pounds of glucose, glycogen, and fucking water. And why is glycogen and water in there, right? Think about this. Water, all right, is flushing metabolic waste out of there and acids, but it's what's filling the muscle bellies up. When you're dehydrated, right, you tend to look like you felt like you lost a lot of weight. That's why keto is so pushed. Oh, I lost so much weight. But then get off keto diet for 2 weeks and go back to eating normal. And, oh my God, I gained all my weight back. Why did you gain all your weight back? Because you gained water again. The reason you lost so much weight in the beginning of a keto diet is because you lost water. It's a dehydrating diet. It's fucking crazy how it's like, it's not even a very easily digested diet. It's one of the most hardest diets to process. One of the most acidic diets to fucking indulge in. You get what I'm saying? So it doesn't make any sense to say that, oh yeah, I'm going to eat this, the keto diet and I'm going to stay on it for 6 months. When you stay on it for just 3 months and you notice your breath starts to smell, your armpit starts to smell, it's because you're actually, all that meat that's not processed in there is actually rotting. Go put all this animal meat and fats out in your garden under the sunlight, it's going to start to rot. When you eat fruits, that's why in the tropics, people are picking fruits, mangoes, because it's alkalizing, right? The sun is an acidic environment and it's actually harmonizing with the chemistry there. So when you actually sweat, it's the waste is actually utilized to produce hormones on the skin called D3, because that's not a vitamin. You got something in your stomach called B12, vitamin B12. That's a bacteria. But why do you think people have such a hard time even holding B12 in their body? Their environment is acidic. That's like me putting you in another planet. That's not like Mars. That's not like Earth. That's like me putting people in like Mars or something, or in a hot planet. It's not Earth-like. It's not sustainable for human life. So you got to look at your body like a petri dish of bacteria. What's harmonizing with the environment? Like when people grow probiotics, let's say, whatever it may be, you can't even use a metal spoon to stir it. You can't use tap water. You have to use distilled water. You have to use a certain type of sugar. But then you don't look at it like that. You actually have bacteria in your stomach that you should be treating the same way you treat kefir grains or water, whatever kind of, probiotics you use outside of you. It's the same way you already got them within you. It's about it's about having them reproduce in your system. The bigger the ecosystem, the better. Because you got good bacteria and bad bacteria, but even a little bit of the bad bacteria has its uses in the body. So you got to look at it from, let's say acids. That's why you're the neutral ground. You know where to put the acids and the type of acids, right? Like this type of acid, right? It's got an alkalizing effect in the body. All right. The heat that you get from the sun is increasing nitric oxide. Even changes your skin color because you're increasing blood flow. And then the cold, of course, if you want to bring down inflammation from, like, let's say excessive training and you got too much lactic acid, yeah, then you got ice bath. But everything has its uses. I'll make another video on the benefits of even hydrotherapy, where you go hot and cold, hot and cold. If you got lymphatic stagnation, even that's good, because it's kind of like if you hold a hose and then you open it up, right? It increases the pressure and you blow out whatever is in. Let's say if you got something stuck in a hose, hold the hose and poof, it increases the pressure and it'll fly out. So if you got trapped bacteria in your lymph nodes or whatnot, then that's what happens. But you may even get an immune response because of that. Because now that that bacteria got released, it has to come out of your skin, or it has to come out of your urine or your feces. But that's why it's important to make sure that you are properly hydrated so that your kidneys are healthy. You got to look at your body like the garden. It has to be stable environment, stable temperature, right? The moment it gets compromised with too much heat or a period of drought, it's the bacteria that gets compromised. And then when you see a plant and it's planted in soil, and you see that the leaves are turning a certain color, or they're wilting to some extent, or the leaves are shriveling, they say, oh, this has got this deficiency, that deficiency. It doesn't have deficiencies. What happened is that the soil got compromised. That's why it's good to have a very, very thick layer of organic matter. That's why in the woods, where you got all those trees canopying above, and it's protecting the soil is cool and moist. The bacteria stays alive and healthy, processes whatever is on there. Wild dog and cat poop, dead insects, whatever it may be, dead leaves, all that is organic matter, and it's processed. But the bacteria has to be healthy and alive for it to be processed. If not, whatever fell on that ground it doesn't mean nothing. What's responsible for that processing to make it bioavailable nutrients for the plant is the bacteria. Because it don't matter how much organic matter is on the soil. It don't mean shit. It's not bioavailable to the plant unless the bacteria processes it. My battery's going to die. I'll make another video because this is a very interesting topic. And if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll definitely cover it in another video. But while it cuts off, stay hydrated, but then there's the right type of water. It's from fruits, because you can have, I made a video on hydration, which I'll link in this video, but it's no different than when you have a potted plant and you put a gallon of water in there. Most of the water's coming out the bottom. The moment you put it outside in 98-degree weather, in a couple of hours, it's going to dry. The reason I use that analogy is because if your body's too acidic, it's like that. It's like you'll just dry out right away, but you peed most of that water out. But when you eat fruits, you're hydrating and absorbing the water because you're alkalizing your body at the same time as well. That's the reason why. See, when you're drinking too much water, that's actually even not good for the kidneys and adrenals, because you're flushing too much of the